I'm cute.
I'm Baby Boo.
We decided to do something because you guys have seen us eat like Subway while we film.
Yeah.
And it becomes a little bit challenging to eat and like play trivia or eat and play like Would You Rather or Button or whatever the hell that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting a little mukbang series.
As I'm about to dig into this stuff.
But now we were kind of thinking, what should we do? Because we're not just going to sit here and eat. We obviously want to like talk to you guys, want to talk to each other. We had to find something to do while we were eating.
Mm-hmm.
Now I follow a girl who does mukbangs while she tells true crime stories. And those episodes can last anywhere from like a half hour to an hour. And I even listen to her podcast. But we're not going to be doing an hour or 45 or 30 minutes because I don't think either of us could remember that length of an amount of a story.
Especially if you're trying to focus on another thing. Like, I was listening to podcasts when I was driving.
Exactly. And I mean, you can obviously listen while you're driving, but you're like focusing on two things at once, and sometimes you tune out the podcast. Literally me half the time I'm listening to her podcast. So we had the idea, because normally she and I listen to true crime, we watch true crime, we read true crime. We do it on our free time.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband doesn't like this stuff. I don't think yours does either. It makes mine depressed.
I don't even know what it does to mine.
I'm pretty sure it would piss him off. Actually, no, it pisses off hubby because he always wants to like hunt these people down and take care of it himself. I keep telling him he should be a cop because I think he'd make a great cop.
Yeah, but then you have that fear of if he's gonna come home or is he gonna get shot
or his buddies come back and give me like, because don't police officers do the folded flag too? Is that just for military?
That's just for military.
Yeah, so I'm really worried about his cop buddies coming to my house and being like, hi, and me being like, no. I can't imagine what those people go through. Anyway, so the amount of true crime we watch, read, listen to, whatever the case may be, we want to talk about it. And this, we feel, is a good outlet to give a summary of what we think of the stuff that we've watched and to talk about the stuff that we've watched or listened to. Who wants to go first?
Well, considering I had a mouthful of food.
Alrighty, I'll go first then. One of the things I watched recently was a Netflix documentary called Dead Asleep, or Hulu documentary called Dead Asleep, which I did recommend to you, but you don't have Hulu. But now you have Hulu.
Now I have Hulu.
So this description says, Dead Asleep follows the complex and layered case of a young man who claims to have murdered his best friend while sleepwalking. While watching this, I noticed a couple of things. One thing I noticed was, I understand that sleepwalking, I believe, is genetic, if I remember correctly. His mom had it, his sister had it, but they all grew out of it. They kind of stopped like sleepwalking after a certain point in their life. And he was still sleepwalking. He would get up, jump on counters. He would do it, and they would notice it. So all they would do is just put him back to bed.
It's like, hey,
simple.
go back.
Well, now they find that one of his best friends, a girl that he's been best friends with for 10 years, comes up dead. And they're questioning him because he was the last to see her. Well, he's pleading that he was sleepwalking while he killed her. So, and he said he doesn't remember what had happened. I'm going to save this one for last.
We may have to renuke some of these.
I don't really care. If you want to renuke, you can renuke. I'm good with just eating them cold. So he uses the defense of sleepwalking, which apparently there's been a couple of cases where people have actually used sleepwalking as a defense for murdering someone. In some cases, it's true. Some of these people have actually sleepwalked and killed before, and it's highly possible because you don't know what you're doing when you're sleepwalking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while they're looking into this, you know, the girl that he murdered, her parents are like, we've known this kid for 10 years. He would never do something like this. This is totally out of character for him. And even his parents are like, he's so sweet. He would never do this. Even the sister of the girl who was murdered was like, he would never do this. Well, as the court case goes on, they're getting a timeline of events. So what had happened was they were at this party, and she felt a little uncomfortable because he was coming on to her. He was flirting with her. They were drunk. And he ended up showing up naked in her closet. I'm not kidding. He showed up naked in her closet. But he was also intoxicated at the time. So she felt uncomfortable, called a guy friend and said, pick me up. This is getting weird. So the guy friend picks her up. And she goes home. She falls asleep. And the next day, her and this guy were, like, her and the guy friend that picked her up were supposed to go grab lunch. Or brunch or whatever, breakfast. And the guy who had hidden naked in her closet ended up hungover, obviously. So he said, please come by, I have a t-shirt for your boyfriend, you know, we can talk, let everything kind of out in the open. So she comes by, picks up the shirt, they talk, he falls asleep, she leaves, and the next thing you know, well, not leaves, but she goes to leave, and now she's dead. Well, in that timeline of events, he would have only had to have had 5 minutes to get through light sleep, REM, and deep sleep, which does not happen in 5 minutes. The best you're gonna get in 5 minutes is light sleep, where you're asleep, but anything could still wake you up in a heartbeat.
You're in that weird in-between stage.
Exactly. And it was not enough time for him to have gone to sleepwalking. So this was a premeditated murder. Well, I don't know if it was premeditated, but he intended to kill her. I don't know if it was because he was in love with her. I don't know if it was because she rejected him, whatever the case may be, but he was not sleepwalking.
Do you think it was a crime of passion?
Probably. I'm pretty sure it might have been a crime of passion. But then that kind of like, you kind of have to think about it, like, you love someone, they don't reciprocate. How mentally messed up do you have to be to immediately go to murder?
I think in my head, because I'm stuffing my face like a pig over here.
Like a pig over here,
but I'm listening to everything you're saying.
I hear ya.
Okay. Based on what you're telling me, it's kind of that scenario of, if I can't have you, nobody can have you.
But here's the thing. She's been with this boyfriend on and off for 4 years. If it was a crime of passion, don't you think he would have killed her sooner?
He was maybe waiting for the right moment, maybe, because
or maybe his emotions weren't that intense until then.
Because, think about it. You said he was drunk. They were both intoxicated.
Yes, and mind you, they were of legal age.
So he's drunk. When you're drunk, you're more vulnerable, and you express your, like, any filter is gone, and you express
yourself in any way, shape, or form.
And you show your true feelings. So maybe in these 3-4 years that she was with this guy, he was biding his time and he was hiding his emotions. But when you're drunk, you can't filter yourself.
No. But here's the thing. He developed a drinking problem after he moved out of his mom and sister's place. In that time span, I don't think she was living in the same state as him at that point.
Okay.
So then, again, since he had been a drunk before, wouldn't he have tried to call her or text her or anything in between? Because from what I saw in the documentary, he didn't try any of that.
I'm definitely going to have to watch that documentary, because this documentary sounds very up my alley interesting.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I kind of spoiled the ending.
You realize I'm the type of person that doesn't give 2 shits about
I know.
doesn't give 2 shits about spoilers.
If you guys haven't seen Dead Asleep, I highly, highly recommend it, because I'm only giving you the skeleton of it. There is so much more in there that you guys need to see.
I think... Now, does it say that they've gotten drunk together before, or was this the first time they've gotten drunk together at a party?
I don't know.
Okay, so if that would be the case, maybe if he's gotten drunk before and he hasn't called her to confess their love and you want to do it in person, this party would have been the perfect place. The perfect opportunity.
We say perfect opportunity, but we mean in a sense of you're drunk, and drunk minds don't think.
You're like, this sounds like a good idea, let's do it.
Yeah, the drunk mind thought it was a perfect idea. Mm-hmm. But in reality, drink responsibly. Mm-hmm. That's not the moral of the story.
No, the moral of the story is don't commit murder.
Don't commit murder, because you'll wind up in prison, even if you plead the insanity case, which that doesn't really work a lot of the time.
Jesus, I am thirsty.
My God, woman.
I am a thirsty bitch.
Well, also, these have a lot of high content of sodium.
Not to mention carbs and whatever the fuck it's in there.
That's rice. That's still carbs.
Yeah, but not as, heavy.
Still heavy.
Whatever.
Your turn for a story.
Alright, so I gotta go into my phone for this one. I watch true crime stuff too, but lately I've been listening to it. It's while I'm getting ready or when I'm showering. I listen to this woman named Bailey. And she does a YouTube channel where she talks about true crime stories, and she does her makeup at the same time.
Surprisingly, our tattoo artist watches her too.
Which is funny.
I remember you're like, is that Bailey?
Is that Bailey?
Mind you, I have no idea who this chick is.
Those episodes are now in podcast form. So I've also been taking a listen on my podcast. I have listened to 3 today.
How short are these things?
It depends.
Oh.
Like, see, this one's like 50 minutes. The first one I want to talk about is Casey Jo Stoddart, however the hell you pronounce her name.
Right.
Oh, there we go.
Look at the description like I did.
Yeah. Where is the description? There is no description. What the So, basically, this poor girl was viciously murdered, viciously stabbed in a house. So, she was a good kid. Never did anything wrong. She was 16. She wanted to make some extra money to get her own car. Every 16-year-old wants their own car.
Yes, they do.
So she was babysitting and all this stuff to earn extra money. And her aunt and her uncle's like, hey, we're going to be going away for a while. Can you house sit and watch the animals? 3 cats, 2 dogs. And she goes, okay. And then she asked her aunt and her uncle, hey, can my boyfriend come? Because this house is huge. Mm-hmm. It's massive. And being in a big house like that by yourself, especially when you're a young girl, that could be kind of scary.
Very terrifying.
So she asked if her boyfriend can come over and stay with her for a bit. And they're like, yeah, that's fine.
Use a condom, kids.
Her boyfriend comes over, and then he ends up inviting 2 of his friends over for a movie night. And she was like, oh, I didn't ask my aunt if these guys can come over. I only asked if
you could come over.
You could come over. And the boyfriend's like, oh, it's fine. We're just gonna watch a movie. And it's like, okay, whatever. They're watching the movie, and the 2 friends that the boyfriend invited over was like, hey, we're bored. We're just gonna go to the movies.
I think I know this story.
I think you and I've talked about this story.
Is this the Scream murders?
Yeah.
I watched a friggin'... No, you wanna know how funny this is?
Huh.
I know it from their perspective, the killer's perspective.
Oh my god. Wait, weren't you watching a confessional or things like that? You need to send me that video so I can watch it.
I watched 2 videos. I watched her confession tapes, and then I also watched the interviews with the cops.
You need to send me those so I can watch them.
I know the killer's side. Oh my god.
The 2 friends leave.
Don't lick knives.
I just look up and...
This is a PSA on what not to do. Don't lick knives. I do it often, so I know what I'm doing. That doesn't...
My wife, the psycho.
Hi, I like starting fires. Actually, no, I just like fire in general. Continue.
Okay.
If anything, when you're done, I can tell the killer's side of the story.
Aye. Oh. Okay, put the knife down if you're gonna laugh. Put the knife down if you're gonna laugh.
Okay.
You're cutting all this out, I'm sure.
No, I'm not.
You're not cutting any of this out.
This is funny shit. This may get us more subscribers.
Blooper reel.
Blooper reel.
Okay.
Which I told you I'll never do.
Okay. Like I said, the friends leave, and apparently, if you watch the interviews like she has, they'll tell you that they actually went back and unlocked the back door so they can come back in because they just wanted to scare her. And these 2, that's the story they told initially.
To the cops.
These 2 friends were huge movie buffs.
Horror movie buffs.
Specifically horror movies. They said they wanted to play a prank on this girl and her boyfriend. Well, the cops.
No, I know, I'm just saying. What they told the cops is...
They're messing with the breaker switches. The boyfriend goes to check it out. She's just sitting there in the living room with the dogs and all that, staying in the living room. Smart chick, not going anywhere. The boyfriend comes back, doesn't see anything wrong. He leaves the house, leaving her by herself. Well, supposedly by herself.
Yep.
The lights start to get all weird again, and I believe that one of the dogs starts barking.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she doesn't go anywhere. She stays right where she is. These 2 guys are just like, this isn't going to plan.
Because, I'm sorry to interrupt. What they were trying to do was lead her down into the basement where they were, because they were the ones fucking with the light switches, they were trying to lead her down so that way they could murder her in the basement.
But she was smart not to go anywhere. Because, it's like every horror movie, you don't go in the basement.
At least alone.
At least alone. And they're filming, like...
The whole thing.
Not the entire thing.
They don't film the murder.
They don't film the murder.
No.
All of a sudden, so I think like a couple days go by. The family comes home, and I believe it's her...
Sister. Oh, no, cousin.
Cousin. Yeah, her cousin finds her dead. Which, poor chick who found her. Oof.
Well, because when she called 911, they were like, is she still breathing? No, she's cold. She's blue.
Yeah.
So obviously.
Dead.
And she dead.
D-E-D. Dead.
We don't mean to disrespect the dead here. We're just trying to...
No, we don't speak ill of the dead.
We're trying to, like, cushion the severity of this thing.
Yeah. Now, an investigation is underway. And of course, who's the first person they look to?
Ghostbusters!
I didn't say who you're gonna call.
It sounded like it.
Oh, dear Lord. The boyfriend. In any situation like this, it's either the boyfriend, the husband, the wife, anybody who's like super close knit with that person, they're always prime suspect number one.
Or even if you're the best friend.
You would get away with it.
I would.
My mom can probably tell you how to hide the bodies.
Oh, my mom can make it look like you've had a heart attack.
Anyway.
That's the nurse of it in her.
The police start asking questions, and because technically her boyfriend was the last person to see her alive. He didn't know anything. And then they asked it, and then he was talking about the two friends. So they questioned the two friends, like, they're like, we went to the movies.
We went to go see. They went to go see
a movie.
Something.
Yeah.
They were even talking about. Oh, I remember. They went to go see Click with Adam Sandler. Oh. They specifically mentioned it in the confession tapes.
Okay, so
well, with the interviews and all that.
As I'm showing. So,
I love how I know the killer's side of the story.
Makes the story a little bit more complete.
Mm-hmm.
The investigators are asking one of the kids. We're saving names because, out of respect for people and their families.
There's a YouTube channel called Explore With Us. It's on there. If you want to watch the tapes.
They're asking one of the two guys.
Both, but not at the same time.
Not at the same time.
They separate them.
Yeah. So
for good reason.
Yeah. So one of the investigators asked one of the guys, "Hey, where were you?" And they go, "Oh, we went to the movies. What movie did you go see?" "Oh, I really don't remember." It's like, "Do you remember what it was about?" She goes, "No, I just remember being really bored." These two are movie buffs. You're gonna remember what you saw, who was in it. If you're a movie buff, you remember those. Not to mention, it was like the day before. You're not going to forget that quick, unless you're me. Not
only that, but we have friends who are movie buffs, and we have one who's actually a movie reviewer. Not professionally, but he does movie reviews. If you're someone who actively watches movies, especially someone who's into horror, and you say you're going to go see a movie, and now they didn't specifically say they went to go see a horror movie. They just said they went to go see a movie. You're going to remember, like she said, what you saw, and unless you have really shitty memory, like these two, you're not going to remember what you saw.
The next person I talked to was the person who was working the ticket booth that night. And they're like, do you know person A and B? She goes, yeah, I go to school with them.
Oh yeah, that's the only reason she knows them.
And they go, well, did you see them last night coming in for a movie? She goes, no, I would have remembered their faces because I was the one letting everybody in. And I was like,
Sorry.
I was like, very interesting.
You want the killer's perspective?
Go ahead and jump in. I want to munch.
Okay. I want food.
It's like, I want to munch. Go ahead and jump in.
So here's the killer's perspective. So these two kids, again, I don't even remember their names, to be quite honest with you. So person A and B are really into horror movies. Now you guys know I love horror.
I think one more than the other.
Yes. But these two met, I think, because of their love for horror, if I remember correctly. And that love for horror turned into something a bit more extreme. So again, you guys know I love horror. I'm trying to get her into horror.
I'm into horror.
More.
Wow.
I'm trying to show you some movies you may have missed out on. And some that you probably wouldn't think are, like, the best, but they are pretty good. My favorite movie series is the Saw series. Now, you don't see me, even if I was smart enough to do this, you don't see me going out and building elaborate traps just to hang her by her feet to see if they work. I'd never do that, and you know that.
I would hope not.
I mean, Louise could probably build them, but we're not going to go there. These two guys love the Scream series. If y'all don't know what the Scream series is, you're under a rock. Anyway, each movie is about the killer Ghostface. And it's like a whodunit. Who's under the mask, right? Well, in the first movie, there's two killers. I'm not going to say who, because if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. I know I spoiled that. I'm sorry. There's two killers. And they document their entire start to finish of planning the murder itself, and all of it in between. Well, these guys are filming it at school, and they're claiming it as a documentary. Well, that friend you had mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. He's in these videos. The boyfriend's in these videos. He's in one video, and he just kind of snuck in because he doesn't know what these guys are doing. They're filming a little tape at work or at school, and I think it's during like a free period or whatever. Now, mind you, this is when video cameras were this clunky and big, right?
Although Nikon DSLRs are still kind of...
Yeah, but this is like the camcorders. The one that the screen was like that big around, and it was like 100 pounds or whatever. Well, not 100 pounds, but you get
One from like the 90s and the early 2000s.
Well, because this took place in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. So they had the camera set up. They got the viewfinder face towards them, and again, the screen's like that big. That's how my parents kept me entertained as a baby. Anyway, they're documenting this whole thing at school, saying that, and then they're literally writing down what they're gonna do, step by step by step by step. One of the last videos I remember watching, because I don't remember much about what their videos were, other than like them saying that they're gonna kill, is them in the car after it took place. You could hear, "Oh my God, we murdered her! Oh my God, we murdered her!" Or "I murdered her," you know, whatever.
It was one of them saying, "I killed Cassie! I killed Cassie!"
Right.
Not we.
I. Because, in spoiler again, to those who have not seen or heard anything about these two, one, I believe, stabbed her once. The other one did the rest.
4 or 5 times to one of them.
Yeah, something like that. One
because she was stabbed up to about 30 times.
Yeah, one delivered the final blow. The other one was just kind of too timid to do it. A lot of it, but they still both did it. But they were trying to convince the investigators that they were at a movie, and that's why the whole like, what movie did you see? What was it about? Yada yada. And then eventually they got to the confession where they had snuck down into the basement after they had left the house and
going through the unlocked door.
Yeah, always lock your doors. And you know one thing, because I saw the most recent Scream movie, and I'm not going to spoil much of anything, but this is in the trailer. In the trailer, the girl has electronic locks that she can do on her phone. Don't do that. And the only reason I'm saying don't is because that shit can be hacked easily. Get old-fashioned lock and keys, honey. It works. And trust me, you have to not study for a while, but if you want to be a lockpick, it takes some time to learn how to properly pick a lock. It's possible, but it takes a while to learn. So they get in the basement, and they're fucking with the lights because they're trying to get both of them down there to at least kill the girl. Not so much the guy, but the girl. And mind you, the reason they're killing this girl is because for some reason they hate her. They were making literally a kill list of people that have like bullied them or, you know, hurt them in any way, shape, or form, and that was going to be their kill list. And one thing I remember from the tapes that they had filmed, one of the things they had said was, if anyone in the FBI is watching this, you couldn't find us. We got away. They were like mocking the FBI and like the cops and all that.
I remember just something real quick because you mentioned the kill list and why one of the two had a crush on her.
Right.
And she rejected him.
That's why they were killing her. I knew there was a reason.
Just a light bulb just went ding.
There was a reason. They get in the basement, they start fucking with the lights. Boyfriend goes down, and I think they hid or something like that.
They did.
Yeah, so the boyfriend goes back up, leaves, and then they're fucking with the lights again because they want Cassie or whatever to come. Cassie to come down so they can murder her. But again, doesn't go as planned. So if I remember correctly, they just head up and do it.
They do.
And that's their side of it.
No, this poor chick didn't deserve to die.
No, none of these people do. Are you kidding me?
Well, there are some people who do, but
we're not condoning murder.
No, we're not condoning murder. This is really good.
You want Mexican food, I swear to God.
Trial goes on. They both are convicted.
Yep.
Neither of them are getting out.
Nope. Their life.
I think it's life without parole, and
And then one got 25 to life
both of them did for conspiracy.
without the possibility of parole.
As soon as they got their sentencing, they immediately appealed.
When it got denied!
They both got denied.
Also, the guy who did the sleepwalking tried to appeal to. Denied.
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 I'm pretty sure, I mean, if they were 16 at the time, they're probably well into their, what?
I mean, they're 40s or
40s or 50s?
50s by now.
40 or 50s by now?
Because what? You said they were 16, right?
About 16, 17.
And this takes place in like the early
2000s.
14, 16 years maybe. Actually, no, they'd be in their 30s. Maybe late 30s, early 40s. We'll say there.
Well,
Taking a guesstimation.
yeah, literally the title of the episode is Cassie Jo Stoddard's Scream-Inspired Case.
I had a different title.
So that, I mean, again, the poor girl.
Yeah.
And, you know, my heart goes out to the families and all that. But
Wow, this lipstick doesn't come off.
the assholes got what they deserved.
I think, well, Luis, for one thing, because I think we're going to wrap up with that story. Luis is against the death penalty. For one reason, and he will always remind me of this. The fuckers deserve to live through what they did. He thinks death is the easiest way out.
I mean, they're gonna die in prison anyway.
Yeah, but he wants it to be like natural or not given by the government, is what I mean. He wants these guys to suffer. Alright guys, so I think that's going to wrap it up for our first ever true crime mukbang that we did. This was fun. I liked it. Typically, we're probably going to be eating Subway while doing this because that's become like a tradition when we film.
Or food in general, really.
Yeah, to get Subway. Well, we don't always get Subway when you're here. That's the wrong lipstick. We don't always get Subway when you're here. Just when we film, we typically get Subway. Oh yeah, I guess we got a cut on the side of her mouth right here.
Ow.
Yeah, that's not fun. Guess who lost her black lipstick? I've yet to buy a new one. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye, little mice.
Bye, baby dolls.
Bye, little dollies.